In this video we're going to look at Microsoft PowerPoint for iPad. This has been out for over a year, and during that time Microsoft have made a number of additions and brought some new features, so hopefully this will provide you with an up-to-date overview of what it can do. When you load PowerPoint for iPad, you'll get a screen showing you three options. You can start a new document, open a recent document, or open a document from OneDrive, Dropbox, iCloud Drive, or documents stored locally on the device. For this tutorial we're going to work with a new document. There are a number of templates to choose from, or alternatively you can just choose a blank template to get going. At the top right of the screen you can change the slide size, choosing either 16:9 widescreen or 4:3, which is useful if you're connecting this to a projector that doesn't support widescreen. I'm going to choose 4:3 for this tutorial. Now I've chosen the template, I'm in the main edit view, which looks a lot like PowerPoint for PC or Mac. As the screen says, we can double tap to edit the text. When you do this, the keyboard will appear, allowing you to type. If you have a Bluetooth keyboard connected, then the cursor will blink and you can begin typing. Along the top you can see a number of tabs, so now I'll talk you through a lot of the functions found here. We're currently on the Home tab, and from here we can make basic changes such as adding a new slide and choosing or changing the current slide's layout. We can also make changes to the font by selecting the text, then making the adjustments we want. We can change the font, size, make it bold, italic, or underlined, adjust the text formatting, colour, add bullet points, adjust alignment, and even bring back the old favourite, word art. The last button in the Home tab lets us add shapes. This is also where we can add text boxes from if we want to add more text to a slide. The next tab along is the Insert tab. This actually brings us a few of the options we saw under Home, such as adding a slide, shapes or text boxes. There are more options here however. You can add a table for instance, and when we do this you can see an additional tab appear at the end called Table. Here we can make changes such as adding or deleting rows and columns, adjust the table options for headers and columns, change the style, add shading, arrange layers if we have multiple overlapping tables and images on a slide, auto-fit, and the alignment of text within a cell. Heading back to the Insert menu, we're also able to add images, either by choosing an image already in our photo library or by using the camera to take a picture. I'm going to choose something that's already in the library. As you can see, it's filled the entire screen, but we can easily adjust its size by holding down one of the circles in a corner and dragging it inwards. We can then easily move the image around wherever we like. Notice again that now I've selected the image, another tab appears at the end. This lets us do some basic editing to the image. We can change its shape or add a border, apply a shadow, apply a reflection, arrange the image in relation to other objects on the slide, crop, or reset it back to its original state. Back on the Insert menu, you'll notice we can also add videos. Videos can only be added if they are stored locally on the device. The last button on this menu is called Add-ins. This allows you to install additional plugins to run inside your presentation, such as quizzes. The next slide along is for design, and there are only 3 options here at the moment. If whilst we're working we decide that the theme we're using is not suitable, we can choose an entirely different theme. We can also change the slide size, and we can also change the background colour for a particular slide if we want to. The next slide along is for transitions. This is where we can apply animations as we move from one slide to the next. Select your desired slide and choose Transition Effect. Once we have chosen our transition, we can then change the effect options, such as the shape of the transition. Finally, we can apply this to all slides if we want to. The next slide along is for animations. This is different from transitions, meaning we can apply an animation to a specific object on the slide. For example, let's choose the image we used earlier on. We could choose an entrance effect. For example, it could fly in. If we want to emphasize a certain part of the slide, we can choose emphasis effects. An exit effect can be applied as we leave the slide, and depending on the effect you choose, there will be some additional effect options and colour selections available too. Let's take a look at our presentation so far. To enter presentation mode, click the play button on the top right of the screen. To change slides, swipe from right to left. Now you can see our effects in action. You can see how your presentation is doing at any time by choosing the play button in the top corner. The next slide along is called Slideshow. This provides us with the same presentation mode that we just looked at, but we can choose to play it from the start, from the current slide, or we can choose Presenter View. In Presenter View, we can add notes to each slide to help us with our presentation. In Presenter mode, we can also draw over our slides by selecting the Pen tool. The pen settings also allows us to choose the type of pen we use, the colour, or choose the eraser to delete what we have drawn. Finally, in the Slideshow tab, you can hide specific slides. Now, if you're working on the same presentation between colleagues, you can use the Review tab to add comments for each other to read. So that's the overview of the tabs. Either side of the tabs we have a few additional options to choose. In the top left we have an arrow with a circle inside. This is how we exit the current document. Documents are automatically saved, so you won't lose your work if you tap this. The next icon along gives us some document options, such as enabling or disabling autosave, naming or renaming a document, printing, or viewing the author information about the document. The next 2 buttons are Undo and Redo, allowing us to quickly get rid of any unwanted changes. Moving away to the right, we have our Share option. This allows us to share with specific people if you have a OneDrive for Business account, or to email a document to another person either as an editable PowerPoint file or a PDF. You can also use the Copy Link option to generate a download link for this document from your OneDrive account once you have saved it. Before we finish up, let me show you one last thing. Whilst in presentation mode, rest your finger anywhere on the screen. A laser will appear letting you direct viewers to a specific part of the slide. So that's my tutorial and overview for Microsoft PowerPoint for iPad. If you found this video useful, please support this channel by liking, commenting and subscribing. Also, make sure you check out the tutorial for Microsoft Word for iPad I did about a year ago. There will be a link in the description below. Thanks for watching.